Hello and welcome to the final video of the year, and what a year it's been for the channel. We started the year looking at physics simulations, we've covered how to make your own role-playing games, we've looked at 3D engines, we've looked at lots of different algorithms in between, we've gained thousands of subscribers, we've got the Pixel game engine, the Discord has grown too, fantastic. But this channel is nothing without a community surrounding it, and that's exactly what this video is about. We're going to look at what the community has been developing, what you guys have been making, and I asked for submissions a few months ago and got quite a few. So I've not included them all in this showcase. I've tried to find a good mix of abilities and genres and interesting things to show. If you have submitted and it's not shown, don't worry, I've put all of your submissions on file. I'm probably going to do more community showcases in the new year. After the showcase, I've got a few little announcements I'd like you to listen to, but without further ado, let's have a look at what you guys have been making, and it's been really, really impressive. So first up, we have long-time supporter of One Lone Coder, Barry Unger, with his Berry engine. And this guy I've mentioned in the past is clearly unwell. He does everything using batch files, and here he's created a first-person shooter using nothing but bat file syntax. I think it's quite cool. He's had to develop a texture editor and a map editor to go along with it, and you can get hurt and you can explore the maps as you need to. Now we have Human3562 with a Mario clone, and Human submitted a video covered in lots of text to explain what things are going on for the showcase, so I apologise for that. But he insists that he was inspired by the Jario platformer and used some of the mechanics that I demonstrated in that video. What's really nice about this is Human and his friends have got together to work on the graphics and particle system and physics and collisions, and have tried to come up with an all-round game. It's still early on at the moment. They've also developed everything from scratch, and I mean everything, using the processing framework. Also included are non-player characters, such as this rather suspicious looking individual. The character can also fly too, with more liberal use of the particle system. It's good to keep reusing bits of mechanics that you've already developed. Enemies also exist, and in this case they're intelligent enemies, so they'll only shoot at you if they can see you, using some very primitive line of sight algorithm. However, it's these little simple hacks that can make games very compelling. Also included is a level editor, and that's one of the things most people forget about when they're developing games, is you'll spend more time developing the tools than the game itself. I think this is a really nice, almost finished project, at least I'm sure they're getting lots of fun out of developing it. Here we have a submission by Sid Lambert, who's interested in maze generation and maze solving, and this is all in the browser, so you can go and play with this yourself. Here we see the maze being generated. I guess it's quite similar to my maze generation algorithm, which was a breadth-first search. Once the maze is generated, you can then choose a variety of algorithms to try and solve it, and it'll graphically show you the solving process. It'll support much larger mazes too. And we can choose different algorithms for solving, so this is the Jeekster's algorithm, and the yellow area I guess is the searched space. So the A* greedy will search for everything, and A* normal will try and find the most optimal route. I think it's a very nice interactive demonstration of these algorithms. This submission by John314 is called Joey's Quest, and I had to include it just because of the sheer nostalgia feels. He's written it explicitly for MS-DOS, so it's not using any of the technologies I've used on the channel, but I just thought it was a really nice, complete example of a full project. You may hear some bleeps and bloops in the background. That's because the game is generating its own sound, and there are genuinely full levels to go and explore. It's not very often in the hobby programming community you see completed projects like this, but I just liked the look and feel of it and thought it was really worth a mention in the showcase. Good on you, John. Now another long-time supporter of the channel, Steve Jukes, with One Lone Coder Vimto, and this is of course a reference to the can of Vimto I have hidden somewhere in all of my videos. He discovered it, and he developed this object renderer himself. It's written in OpenGL, but I think it was a bit of an exploratory program for him to learn the framework of OpenGL. We have covered 3D software rasterizers this year on the channel, but moving to an established framework does present a whole load of new problems for you to solve, simply because you have to start doing things in their way, not your way, and this can take a bit of learning. Next up is Steve Richards, or Hacker, on the Discord, and he's used the Pixel Game Engine to fully realise quite a novel puzzle game. I quite like it. The idea is to get the pipes, or the shapes, to join up, so that there are no freestanding ends. And what I like about Steve's implementation is it's very smooth, it's very user-friendly, you can choose the puzzles, and the puzzles get more difficult as time goes on, of course. Here we can see a slightly larger puzzle, more difficult to solve. And it struck me that actually when you're developing a puzzle game, one of the hardest things to get right is to actually develop the puzzles. You may spend more time doing this than writing the code for the game. Anyway, I think this was a really nice example of the Pixel Game Engine. Here we've got a selection of things from Rust Knight. Now Rust Knight is on the Discord, and here he's using the Pixel Game Engine to learn about basic collision detection. I like the fact that people are using the Pixel Game Engine as a learning tool, to experiment with algorithms. That was really what it was for. So here we've got rectangle intersection, and he went on to develop a simple snake game. He borrowed some of the assets from another member of the Discord forum called Twister, but even so, again, a pixel game implementation. Very nice. I like the fact that the snakes are not axis aligned. Rust Knight carried on learning how to do animations in this case, so here we can see a sprite, an animated sprite, with some debug information on the screen being controlled by the mouse and the user. Animations are always a bit tricky at first because they take a lot more work than you might expect, but I think the end result was really quite nice. Staying with the Pixel Game Engine for a bit, here is a raycaster created by 4Abby on the Discord server, implementing a raycasting first-person shooting style engine using the Pixel Game Engine. It's nice and colourful. Now Zix has implemented many things using Pixel Game Engine, but this particular application caught my eye because it's doing tracking of the International Space Station and plotting its trajectories. I think it's getting information from some external server and displaying it using the PGE. Zix has developed many modules for the Pixel Game Engine, including controller interfaces, but I quite liked this one too. This is a built-in extension package for transitions between scenes. Next up, we've got Tiskin, who used the Pixel Game Engine to explore sort of wave phenomena to make sort of water-like effects. And I liked this video a lot, simply because it shows what happens when you get a happy accident. So the collision boundary of the wavefront didn't quite work in this case, but the end result was very, very pleasing indeed. Here we have iProgramming CPP creating Minesweeper in the Pixel Game Engine, and it's quite a faithful recreation. iProgramming CPP also wanted me to demonstrate the game that he's working on. This isn't in Pixel Game Engine, I think it's a fully custom framework that he's developing, and I liked some of the features about it. In this case, it's a bit like a 2D Minecraft clone. I'm sure I'm not demonstrating all of the features of this game here, but I did have a quick play with it, and you can mine resources and you collect them just like in Minecraft, and you can build new structures too. There were sound effects, but I've decided to try and not record all of the sound effects just in case there's a bit of a copyright issue. Dragoneye has come back to programming from a long time out there in the wilderness, and he used the Pixel Game Engine on Linux to experiment with Verlet Physics. We might look at Verlet Physics a bit next year, but they're a cheap way of getting quite a lot of popular physics effects, like rubber band effects, ragdoll physics, and, as we'll see in this video, cloth physics. What I liked about this was it was the entire tool, so you could place nodes, connect them up, delete nodes, save your node patterns, load in pre-existing node patterns, and manipulate them all in real time. Quite a lot of effort has gone into this. I was very impressed with this from Raoul. It's a arcade faithful recreation of the game Barbarian, including sound effects as well. I don't think anybody has ever won this game, but I quite liked all of the realistic animations, the fact that the animations were smooth and flowed into each other, and there is actually AI and gameplay dynamics in effect. It gets a bit gory in a minute, so close your eyes if you're sensitive to such things. Zleepingbur, or Zleepingbur depending on where you're from, has become a bit of a Pixel Game Engine fanatic, and has created quite a number of great YouTube videos on how he develops his algorithms using the Pixel Game Engine. You should check out his YouTube channel. Here we can see he's developed a framework for developing isometric levels. We've not covered isometry yet on the channel, but I think we will do next year. What I liked about this application was that Sleeping Bear has had to create the menu system, he's had to create utilities to allow people to enter text, which isn't as easy as it might think it should be, and it seems to be very feature rich. Sleeping Bear used his Pixel Game Engine expertise to enter the OLC CODEJAM 2018 with his entry Caveman. And here we can see it's got cutscenes at the start. What I really like is the attention to detail that he has with his projects. At the moment it's still very much in a debugging phase, but we can see lots of debug information on the screen, and the main character is presented graphically depending on the state the character is currently in. I think overlaying the screen with debug information is very important when you're developing something beyond the most simple of applications. Sleeping Bear also has quite an artistic flair and has fully exploited the pixel effect of the Pixel Game Engine in a very appealing way. This year the channel had its very own jam, OLC CODEJAM 2018, and we had 18 entries and they were all rated quite highly by the community, so excellent work everybody. But the winner, according to the community, was Trolled Woods, with quite a unique and very strange game. I think the discovery aspect of the theme was you had to discover how to play it. Nonetheless, it was quite a complete product. The idea was it's a bit like a cookie clicker game I suppose. You had to place objects and click them to get resources back, and then once you developed resources you can place new objects and click those too to get resources back. I think there's probably a lot more to this game than I'm showing here, but the nice thing is it's completely playable in the browser, so I urge you to go and have a go yourself, although Trolled Woods, if you're listening, a user manual would help. We had a second prize on offer for the CODEJAM, and that was given to Jacob here for OLC Minor. This was the Judges Award. Now Jacob is quite young and he streams, and I thought this was an excellent project for somebody that is so young in this case. The idea is to mine resources before your mining drill, the red bar, becomes too weak to do it. So you have to carefully mine resources and mine coal, in this case, that restores the drill. I think that just means coal is an energy source. What I liked about this was it used the keypad as the entry source, and it was quite a challenging thing to do. I've sped it up here for the video, but it was still quite quick in real life, certainly too quick for oldies like me. But it was quite fun discovering the different combinations of things you needed to progress. Now, Ugly Swedish Fisk, very popular on the Discord server. His thing is graphics, and here we've got a quick clip of one of his engines, the RAK PathTracing Engine. And he used his path tracing engine for his jam submission called Fishcraft. Now the thing about path tracing is it's not like normal rendering. What Fish is doing is choosing randomly which pixels to render per frame, and then using spatial and temporal blurring effects to give you this nice aesthetic finish. But you get something else. Because you're only processing a handful of pixels per frame, you can do very accurate lighting calculations. In fact, as we go into the dark here, you can see the edges of the frame. They seem a bit speckly and pixely, and that's because those pixels have been rendered up against a black background in this case. So we can see the spatial blurring effects in action. This was a complete Minecraft clone in the space of a week, which I thought was quite nice. Just a sec, I'm building a hut here, and you can see that the shadows are developing in real time as I'm playing. In fact, as I put a little roof on the hut, you'll see how it affects the light. The beauty of this method is you're only processing so many rays per frame, so you can get these realistic lighting calculations at quite high frame rates. See, as I dug through the roof of my little hut, the light came back. In fact, I'll demonstrate that again here by going into the tunnel and digging a sunroof, or a sunlight. The engine also featured a full crafting system too. I haven't demonstrated it to its full potential here, I'm sure, and I'm sure Fish will let me know about that later on. But he created this 2D interface, this was all in OpenGL, to handle the crafting. I'm not a Minecraft player, so I don't really know what these mean, but nonetheless I enjoyed trying to figure it all out. And of course, like any good developer, you should have a debug mode that allows you to go and explore your world. So here I've popped underneath the world to go and have a look at the lava, and the lava emits its own light as well. Very nice. This was another entry from DevChrome, a bit of a strange one about a horse called Discovery, but I quite liked the pixel aesthetic. The reason I've included this one in this showcase video is because this isn't in the Pixel Game Engine, although it is. It's intriguing, huh? So what DevChrome has done has faithfully recreated the Pixel Game Engine in C#, and actually added some additional features. This isn't the only C# implementation of the Pixel Game Engine we've seen, but it certainly is one of the most complete. Go and download it and have some fun. Now we've got some entries from Magetsub. This was his Duke Nukem Renderer, so this uses a Portal style rendering system. We can see the map of the level at the top. This is in the Pixel Game Engine, of course. And what I quite liked about this was just how fluid it all is. At the moment there's no collision detection or wall texturing. Magetsub is one of those guys that once he's got an idea in his head doesn't let it go and has to see it through to the end. So the next iteration of this project was a fully raycasted environment with reflections, ambient and point lighting. And I think it looks very, very pretty. Just look at that, that's really nice. And at really sensible frame rates too. Magetsub has also contributed with one more thing this year, and I'm very excited about it. He has recreated the Pixel Game Engine header file to support mscripten, which allows you to compile normal C++ code to JavaScript and WebAssembly. So here we can see, running in the browser, is the Bald demo that I created earlier this year, and here we've got the shadow casting demo. And these are completely faithful to the original code that I posted on the GitHub. I've not made any alterations to these at all. But by including a different header file, and by different I mean very slightly different, we can now compile them for the browser. So I think I'm going to use this a lot next year to provide live interactive demos alongside the videos. So thank you very much for that, Magetsub. Truly fantastic. I'm completely overwhelmed by the amount of talent and dedication of programmers of all sorts of abilities out there. It's really good, really well done, and keep going. Now, as with last year, I'm going to take a little break over the holiday season. I've put out a video every 2 weeks this year, and I could do with a bit of a rest. But a few things before I go. Firstly, a big thanks to all of you guys. This channel is growing, and it's growing because you guys are clicking the subscribe button, you guys are joining the Discord, you guys are leaving the comments, you guys are helping each other solve your programming problems. So a massive thank you for all of that. That's exactly what I wanted to get out of my One Lone Coder initiative. If you didn't know already, I stream fairly regularly on Twitch, and as a result I created a second YouTube channel, JavidX9 Extra. The link will be in the description below. I've seen quite a few of you have already subscribed to that, so I'm really grateful for it. And that channel will feature a lot more sort of non-mainstream things, so it'll be uploads of streams, bits and pieces of videos that I don't really have a home for, sometimes personal little blogs as well. I've also created a Patreon or Patreon, depending on how you want to call it. And big thanks to, I've got 5 so far, and that's really surprising. I'm very pleased about that. Thank you guys. Now I've got a little favour I'd like to ask of you. I'd like you to choose one of my videos that really connected with you. Which one was it that showed you something new, or showed you how to do something in a slightly different way, or just opened your eyes to the world of programming? And if you have the time or the inclination, I'd like you to share it. I'd like you to share it with friends and colleagues to try and introduce them to the world of coding too. I've never asked in my videos for any of my videos to be shared, and I'm not going to get in the habit of doing so. But I've been reassured by you guys that actually there are 1 or 2 videos in my collection which are worth seeing. Anyway, a thumbs up for this video is a big thumbs up for the community, so I really recommend that you do click the like button. If you like this video and the community surrounding it, have a think about subscribing and joining the Discord server. However you celebrate your holiday season, I wish you the best wishes, and I'll see you next year. Take care.